About 2 years ago, I was driving home late at night after a family reunion. The event was a couple hours away, and I didn't stay overnight because I had work the next day. Most of the drive took me through isolated roads lined with thick trees and bushes on both sides, the kind of roads that look like something out of a horror movie. I had been driving for about 45 minutes when I started to feel an overwhelming wave of exhaustion. Not the kind that creeps in slowly. It hit me all at once. You know how sometimes your body just seems to shut down without warning? That's exactly what happened. I knew I wasn't going to make it the rest of the way home safely, but I also hadn't seen any gas stations or rest stops where I could pull over. Eventually, I made a decision that, looking back, probably wasn't the smartest. I pulled off the road onto a grassy patch behind a row of bushes, trying to keep my car out of sight from anyone passing by. The road wasn't completely deserted. I'd pass another car every few minutes, but it felt remote enough. I glanced at the clock. 11:22 p.m. Then I reclined my seat and let myself doze off. At some point later, I was jolted awake by a strange scratching sound. I checked the clock again. 11:50 p.m. The sound lasted only a few seconds before stopping completely. Still groggy and half asleep, I brushed it off as an animal and drifted back to sleep. But then it happened again. This time it was 12:40 a.m. and the sound didn't stop. It was faint but constant, like something brushing or dragging along the outside of my car. My heart started to race. I tried to rationalize it as some curious animal, but one thought stuck with me. Why would it come back nearly an hour later? I slowly looked into my rearview mirror, and I caught a brief glimpse of something darting away into the woods. I couldn't tell what it was, but it was human-shaped and fast. My mind immediately went to that old urban legend, the one about the couple parked in a car who get attacked by a man with a hook. I didn't wait around to see if that story had any truth to it. I turned the ignition and sped off. About 100 yards up the road was a sharp bend. As I came around it, I saw another vehicle pulled over on the side, driver's side door wide open. I slowed down instinctively, glancing to see if anyone was inside, but the car was empty. Then I checked my rearview mirror again. Nothing. And then, out of nowhere, a man sprinted around the bend behind me, full speed, arms pumping. He started yelling something, but I couldn't make out the words at first. As he got closer, I realized he was screaming at me. Hey, stop. Get out of your car. Now. No chance. I slammed my foot on the gas and didn't stop until I reached a well-lit highway. I don't know what his intentions were, and I'm not sure I want to know. All I can say is this: don't ever fall asleep on the side of a dark, empty road.
A few years ago, I was working for a company that had a secondary office 2 states away. Most of the time, I'd fly out there, but occasionally we needed equipment or vehicles delivered in person. I'd often volunteer for those runs. It gave me some time to clear my head, and the company would cover the hotel. One trip, I was driving a large box truck, the kind you'd rent from U-Haul. It was used, a bit beat up, and packed with heavy office equipment, including a massive copier we were transferring. The morning I was supposed to leave, the copier didn't show up until around 3 p.m., which pushed my whole schedule back. Rather than sit in rush hour traffic, I waited a bit and left after 5. Once I cleared the metro area, the drive became smooth. Long stretches of open road. I had planned to do most of the driving overnight and rest at the office once I arrived. By around midnight, I had made it well into the rural part of the state. The roads were empty, mostly lined with forests, and the air felt heavy. I stopped at a remote gas station for fuel and coffee, then hit the road again. I knew there was a rest stop about 30 minutes up, just before the state border. It wasn't much, just a couple of vending machines and a public restroom, but it was my last real break before a long, dark stretch of highway. When I pulled in, the rest stop was completely empty. It was dimly lit but quiet, and I wasn't too concerned. I've trained in boxing, and I was in decent shape, so I never really worried when I traveled alone. I went into the restroom to wash my face and stretch out a bit. But when I came back out, there was a pickup truck parked next to mine. I hadn't heard it pull in. A man was standing beside my box truck. He looked to be in his late 40s or early 50s, kind of wiry, wearing a hat and flannel shirt. As I approached, he gave a casual wave and struck up small talk. Nothing strange at first, until he asked, "You having any mechanical trouble with your truck?" The question felt off. I hadn't mentioned anything, and the truck had been running fine up until then. I gave him a short nope and got into the cab. Something in me said to leave now. I got back on the road, and almost immediately it felt darker. The next stretch was nothing but forest on either side. No towns, no lights. Just me and the road at 3 a.m. Then, without warning, everything went black. Headlights, dash lights, instrument panel, even the running lights. All dead. I tapped the brakes. Nothing. I glanced in the side mirror and didn't even see the brake lights reflecting back. The only reason I didn't slam into something was because it was a clear, moonlit night. I could barely make out the outline of the road ahead, and the bridge I was just about to cross. I knew this bridge. It stretched over a gorge with a river running below. Losing control there would have been fatal. Out of sheer frustration, I slammed my hand against the dashboard and shouted, and like some bizarre magic trick, everything flickered back on. Lights, dash, everything. I kept driving, heart racing, scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. I remembered a gas station in a town about 10 miles up the road, and I made a beeline for it. When I pulled in, I started fueling up, and then I saw it, that same pickup truck from the rest stop. It had pulled in behind me but didn't go to the pumps. It just idled, the driver still inside. I was debating whether to leave or confront him. I figured if the guy had tampered with my truck, I probably shouldn't keep going until I could be sure it was safe. It's possible the pickup was following me earlier, but I couldn't be certain. I reached a larger town a bit further up and found a cheap motel next to another gas station. I parked the truck, grabbed my bag, and made my way inside. The entire time I had this crawling sensation in my gut, like I was being watched. I locked everything. The truck, the room, the window. And even then, I barely slept. I kept getting up to peek through the blinds. By sunrise, I was back on the road. I made it to the office without further incident, and immediately asked the team to have the truck inspected by a mechanic. A few days later, after I was back home, I got the report. The mechanic didn't find anything wrong. Nothing electrical, no shorts, no signs of tampering, and they never experienced the issue again. To this day, I don't know what happened, if the man really did something to the truck, or if it was just some bizarre coincidence. But I do know this. The moment he asked me if I was having mechanical trouble before anything ever went wrong, that still gives me chills.